Hello peoples, this is Sonic732 and welcome back to another impression video. Holy crap, I have not made one of these in about a year. Wow, I really should have done that, but either way though. So, restarting this new series, or not really restarting, more like kicking it off again, I will be giving my impressions on the newest release for the PS4 that a lot of people are really hyped for, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. This game came out 3 days ago. I'm currently recording this on May 13th, 2016. Came out May 10th. I'm about 75% done with the game. I got enough, I felt enough of the game to get my first impressions of it, and now let me give to you everything. So, actually, it's funny because Uncharted 4, even though it's the last game in the series, this game actually got me into playing the past 3 games. Because prior to Uncharted 4's release, I had Uncharted 3, and I mean, it was fun, but I couldn't really get into it. But when Uncharted 4 got announced for the PS4, it gave me the incentive to replay 1, 2, and 3. So I did that, I got all the treasures, and I ended up really liking the series from there. So naturally, after 1, 2, and 3, I really placed high expectations for this game. And it's really weird though, because when you think of a game, when you think of a sequel, you think of the developers doing a million times more with the sequel. You think of developers doing above and beyond what they established in the previous games. Now, Uncharted 1 had really good set pieces, but they weren't like overblown, over the top. Uncharted 2 started going to like the over the top set pieces, which were really cool. And hell, even Uncharted 3, for as much, I wouldn't really say mixed because the game is still like fantastic, but people didn't like Uncharted 3 as much as Uncharted 2, and the set pieces were really good in Uncharted 3, like the plane sequence. There was the house sequence where the house is burning down, which that was a really cool sequence, and also the horse sequence in the desert. Those are some really cool set pieces. But with Uncharted 4, before I could like even talk about this game, I just gotta say, I never really want to use this kind of expression when I'm talking about games, but really Uncharted 4, it really is unlike anything I've played on the PS4 by far. It's a completely different experience. But before I talk about that, let me actually talk about the story for Uncharted 4. So the game picks up, I believe, a couple years after Uncharted 3 ends. So after Uncharted 3, Nate and Elena get married. Nate retires from treasure hunting. Elena is now a full-time journalist, which I think she was in Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. Sully's taking a break now, and pretty much the characters are living happy lives. Nate is working as an undersea diver for I think Chicago or where he's living. So one day, his brother Sam comes in. Now we learn in this game that about 15 years. Oh crap! Yeah, I'm getting a million birds. But yeah, 15 years ago, from where Uncharted 4 takes place, Nate and Sam were in prison to find clues to a pirate captain, Captain Henry's lost treasure. But when they were escaping the prison after one of their teammates, Rafe, accidentally killed, not really accidentally, more like purposely killed the warden, Sam was shot and he was supposedly dead. But now, 15 years later, Sam reappears back in Nate's life and he tells him that he has a lead on Captain Henry's treasure. Now, Sam doesn't know that Nate is retired, but when Nate hears this and the fact that Sam tells Nate that his life is basically on the line because he made a deal with a drug cartel to get out of prison if he gave the cartel half of Captain Henry's treasure. So now Nate not only has the reason of Sam to get back into treasure hunting, but he also has the reason of the fact that they might find Captain Henry's treasure. Now I don't want to spoil why they're doing this, but like when you find out why they're going after Captain Henry's treasure, that one cutscene, it's so beautifully acted. It's okay. I really gotta stop talking about that. So that's pretty much the story. Now I do have a few complaints with the story. That's pretty much set for every video game. For one thing, Sam Drake. I like him as a character. I really do. The interactions between Sam, Drake, Sully, and all the other characters Sam talks with, it really is spawn. You really feel that Nate and Sam are brothers that have seen a lot. The banter between both of them it's perfect. Troy Baker really does kill it as Sam. And even with Sam and Sully, Sully doesn't really believe that Sam is back because supposedly Sully knew Sam 15 years ago. And the fact that Sam is back and he's taken Nate out of this life he's established, Sully is really uneasy with Sam. And you could really see that with the dialogue that they're given. And even, like I said even before, with Nate and Sam, their dialogue, you feel like they're brothers. you feel that they've lived their entire lives together, but it really is that, Nate thought he lost his brother, but now that his brother's back, they act like they were as kids, and it really, really is cool. It's really nice, and it feels like it immerses you into the game. Now, yeah, so Sam Drake's introduction. Plus, also, if Sam Drake was an established character in this universe, I really would have liked to get like a hint towards Sam's existence back in the previous Uncharted games. It felt like they just added Sam in this game because they needed a reason to get Nate out of retirement. Like in Uncharted 3, we get a little glimpse of Nate's past, where Nate meets Sully. Where was Sam during that moment? How come Sam wasn't with Nate? It establishes in this game that they're kind of like, as kids, they were tight. Like wherever Nate went, Sam went, and wherever Sam went, Nate went. But where was Sam during the time when Nate was in, I believe, Argentina or somewhere in South America looking for Sir Francis Drake's ring? Where was Sam during that moment? And it really confused me that we never really got a hint towards Sam in Uncharted 1 through 3. I really would have liked a little hint towards that, but I guess Naughty Dog wasn't really thinking ahead. But for what it's worth, though, you know, I'm trying to fit the timeline in my head. Like I really am trying to put the pieces of where Sam could have like came in and where Nate met Sully. But I mean, other than that though, there's a little bit of retconning. It's not major retconning, but it's there. But that's really the only complaint I have with the story. But the gameplay, honestly, it's honestly the best it's been in the series. The aiming is the aiming is so much better than Uncharted 1 through 3. Maybe it's because when I played the old Uncharted, I had poop controllers, so the aiming wasn't as good. With the PS4 controller, even though my controller isn't perfect, I can still aim. It aims like a dream. It controls like a dream. Nate isn't as stiff as he was in Uncharted 1, and he isn't as loose as he was in 2 and 3. Nate feels the right amount of perfect, control. Parkour, it isn't as it isn't as leap of faith heavy as it was in Uncharted 2. I mean, there still are leap of faiths, but the whole entire game doesn't really rely on it. Nate jumping down from cliffs, that was one big complaint I had about Uncharted 2, where like I would jump from like a 10 feet tall building top, Nate would die, and I would jump from like a 20-foot tall building top, and then Nate would live. It's a lot more consistent in this game. It's kind of obvious where Nate will die and where Nate will not die. Also, his damage is also really improved. Nate doesn't die in like 2 or 3 shots. He could take about 5 or 6 hits, then he'll die, which is a lot better than it was in Uncharted 1 and 2. And I kind of forgot how Nate's damage was in 3. But that's really it for the control. Also, the biggest addition to Uncharted 4 is the grappling hook. Now, I know probably everyone kind of just roll their eyes, because what game nowadays doesn't have a grappling hook? But the grappling hook in Uncharted 4, it's so cool. I just love the grappling hook, grappling onto a ledge, swinging around, especially if there's an enemy right where you jump off, you could take out enemies from midair. It's so cool. Also, speaking of enemies, they aren't as, I guess you could say, bullet spongy as they were in Uncharted 2, because in Uncharted 2 enemies ate bullets for breakfast. That's the best way I could describe it. It's like you will unload a full clip on an enemy and they will live. In this game, the enemies take about 4 or 5 shots. One if you get the headshot, and then they're dead. And that's how I liked it to be. That's really how I prefer it to be. Also, speaking about enemy encounters, they don't throw a lot at you in this game, like they do in Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. And I'll actually talk about that more later. And also stealth. I also really got to talk about stealth. Unlike Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, stealth was there, but it wasn't really that big of a factor. In this game, they really, really took the stealth elements from The Last of Us, which was another really fantastic game from Naughty Dog, and they incorporated it into Uncharted 4. And stealth, it's never been as better as it's been in the Uncharted series until now. Stealth is so perfect in this game. You could literally sneak up behind enemies, silently take down them without alerting other enemies. It literally feels like you're playing a Metal Gear Solid game. I would have loved some of the Metal Gear Solid, techniques like knocking on walls, maybe hiding underneath a cardboard box. I don't want them to be too much like Metal Gear Solid, but stealth is really, really nice in this game, and it feels so satisfying when you take out an entire when you enter a firefight section and you take out an entire horde of enemies just by stealth. Also, speaking about firefights, enemies don't respawn one after the other like they did in Uncharted 1. Holy crap, that was one major complaint I had with the first game. That enemies just kept respawning and respawning and respawning, and you never really got a break from that. And this is actually a really good segue into the game. So, okay, this is kind of like, my experience with the game the first day. The first day I had this game, I played through like the first chapter. Now let me just say, the prologue, the prologue is structured very similar to Uncharted 2, where they throw you into like the middle of the game, and you're kind of wondering just how did Nate get to this point in the adventure. So that's the beginning structure. But the next chapter, the first chapter, unlike the other Uncharted games, they throw you immediately into the action. Like with Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, the main point of those three games were to top the set pieces for each game. Like with Uncharted 1, I guess you could say the best set piece that I had in the game was the uh to be honest, I really don't know what kind of extreme set pieces Uncharted 1 had. I guess you could say kind of the moment when you're walking in those corridors and those the ray creatures attack you. Then in Uncharted 2, you had this sequences with the train, the Paul, like places like that. Then in Uncharted 3, they tried to outdo the train and the Paul sequence with like I said, the desert scene, the airplane scene. This game, it dials down the set pieces, and that was a really really risky move that Naughty Dog could have done. Because with the PS4, of course, people had really higher expectations. They could think, holy crap, with this new hardware, Naughty Dog could do some of the most mind-blowing set pieces. And don't get me wrong, set pieces are there, but that's not the point of the game. The point of the game is just observing the world and just observing these characters, seeing how they progress throughout the entire games, and just how they act right now. Because in Uncharted 1 through 3, Nate was that charismatic main character that wouldn't shut up. Sully was that, he was the pervert that said, "God damn," like every time. But in this game, you see just what those three games did to those characters. Nate, while he has those funny moments, he isn't screaming his lungs out. He isn't cracking all these funny jokes every 2 seconds. You see the toll that those three games took on him in this game. He's a tired middle-aged man. He basically left his entire life for his brother. He left the life he made with Elena. He left the job he has right now just to find treasure with his brother. And all those past adventures, they took a toll on him. And you really see that in this game. He struggles throughout this entire game. He really does struggle, whether it's like fighting off enemies, parkouring, trying to get back to Sam during those sections where it's just Nate alone. You really see that struggle with him. You see these characters develop. And what I said about the set pieces, when the set pieces are there, they're there. But the main focus of the game, like I said before, is just taking in the environment that Naughty Dog made for this game. Like games nowadays, they don't want to lose the player's attention. They constantly throw things at you. Like they throw explosions, they throw like enemies every 2 seconds to keep the player on their toes. Uncharted 4 doesn't do that. Yeah, they have the enemies, yeah, they have the explosions with the set pieces, but for about 80% of the game, it's just you walking and exploring this environment. And it's weird though, because while I will say, for like the first chapter, I was kind of getting bored, but as the game picked up, I started to see what Naughty Dog did. This could have been a really, really risky move for Naughty Dog. Because like I said before, gamers nowadays have the attention spans of squirrels. We need to see explosions. We need things to keep our interest that will compel us to play this game because we don't have time. But Naughty Dog, they didn't do that. Like I said, from 80% of this game, it's you exploring. And it really makes you feel like a true adventurer. It's you exploring these beautiful, insanely detailed environments that Naughty Dog crafted for the PS4, hunting for treasure, solving puzzles, hearing the characters that we've fallen in love with for the past three games as they develop. It it, it really is something that it's unlike anything I've played on the PS4 yet. I really cannot commend Naughty Dog enough for the choice they made with this game, where they dialed back the set piece, they dialed back the over the top action, they dialed back those mystical elements that were in the past three games for a more grounded story. And I love this game because of it. I really really do. Because while of course, the raid creatures from Uncharted 1 were pretty creepy. Seeing the Kimahari creatures in Shambhala were pretty cool in Uncharted 2. And I guess you could say the demons in Uncharted 3, even though it was just the water. They were pretty cool in Uncharted 3. But I felt like those elements were thrown in there just to raise the stakes. In Uncharted 4, it's more of a personal gain. It's more whether or not Nate and Sam will fulfill the goal they've had for all these years. And you want to see them do that. But because not only because of their age, not only because they haven't seen each other in a while, but also because Nate has been through so much crap in the past 3 games, and just seeing all of that weight accumulate into this game, it really it's unlike it's I really cannot explain this experience. Like I've been seeing Uncharted 4 get 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s, really high grades, and I thought it was just gonna be more over the top than Uncharted 3, but playing through the game, it really does show that a developer could create a game without throwing all these explosions at you and just immersing you into the game world, making you really feel like that you are a true adventurer, that everything you do always leads to something else. Also, what I really gotta commend Naughty Dog for doing is making these open worlds where you would think you would get lost in these worlds, but really you won't. You somehow always get guided. What Naughty Dog did was that they showed you where to go. They didn't tell you where to go. They showed you, and I don't know how they managed to do it, but they managed to do this. I mean, it seems like this impression is just me gushing over Uncharted 4, but really, this game, it's one of a kind. We've seen this series evolve from over the top action, characters that just yell and shout, spout one-liners, basically Indiana Jones, to the 4th game that has its own identity. It really is unlike anything I played on the PS4 yet, and I really hope developers realize that to get a gamer's attention, you don't need explosions, you don't need enemies, you don't need over-the-top action. You need a compelling game world. You need characters that you really care for, and you want to see them accomplish this goal. You need stakes that you need to show stakes without resorting to supernatural elements. This game really is something that everyone that has a PS4 should buy. If you have a PS4 right now and you have not played Uncharted 4, please, I really highly recommend you play this game. Or better yet, buy an Nathan Drake collection. Play Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 so you could so you could learn, so you could get to know Nate, and then play Uncharted 4 to see how those 3 adventures affected Uncharted 4. It really, like I said before, and I will say until like the end of time, Uncharted 4 really is something that you have to experience for yourself, just to see how amazing of developers Naughty Dog are for making a game like this. That they didn't rely on these cheap tricks, but they relied on the world, the characters, everything that a game should be, the gameplay. They rely on all of that. So that was my 2 cents. But I really also gotta mention this: the set pieces, when they are there, they are fantastic. They really are. The 2 set pieces I really gotta bring mention to are the one in Madagascar, or I'm not sure if it's Madagascar, but the one where you're in pursuit of Sam. That set piece was brilliant. And also another really awesome set piece was actually the escape from the cathedral in I forgot what the place is called, but it's really early in the game. Really cool set piece. Just you running through like mountains, killing enemies, parkouring while gunfire's shooting at you. Really cool set pieces. But like I said before, I'm not done with the game yet. I'm about 75% done. I should be done with the game by tonight if I just marathon throughout the entire night. But really, I really cannot recommend Uncharted 4 enough. And I just hope the ending is as good as this entire game has set it up to be. And I really hope that whatever game series Naughty Dog goes to work towards next, whether it's the rumors of like The Last of Us 2 or the Jack and Daxter reboot that was supposed to come out for the PS3, but they kind of like scrapped it. If they go back to that, if they actually do go back to making Crash Bandicoot, which this game really hinted towards to, I really hope that Naughty Dog takes what they learned from all their past experience, which that they've been doing so far, and incorporating that into their new IP. Because honestly, Naughty Dog proved themselves with Crash Bandicoot. They made my childhood with Jack and Daxter. They proved the PS3 had a lot more potential than what people thought. And they made Uncharted 4 one of the greatest experiences I've so far had on the PS4. I really hope that, Naughty Dog keeps doing this. And I really hope that all you guys watching this will buy Uncharted 4. And if it also sounded like I was really quiet during this video, my voice kind of hurts. I really don't know why, whether it's I'm sick or I've just been yelling a lot. So that's why I'm kind of like in a really low voice. But, it made the video sound more dramatic, so I'll take it. But yeah, either way though, guys, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, do you want. I'm going to go back to playing Uncharted 4. Hopefully that could be it tonight. And hopefully you guys take what I said into consideration. So, peace out, peoples, and bye-bye.